Hi guys, Samantha from Jessimo Tutorials here, and today I'm going to show you a fun little Mokume Gane tutorial that I found on Pinterest just the other day. Now I'm not sure who originally came up with this technique. If anybody knows, please let me know. But I just thought it would be fun to show you. So what I've done is I've done a skinner blend, and this is using Primo. I've got ecru and turquoise, and it's a skinner blend between the two, and that was on the thicker setting of my pasta machine, which was a 7. Then I've got a black Primo sheet, and that was done on a thinner setting, which was my number 2, so it's quite thin. It's my second thinnest setting, and I'm just going to lay the skinner blend on top of the black, and I'm just going to trim it like so, and I'll just get rid of this. And we're going to be doing a jelly roll. So I'll just lift that up with my blade. See? And I'll just go over here. Whenever you're laying sheets on top of each other, you just want to, before you proceed, check that you've got out all air bubbles if there are any. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run it through my thickest setting again. Also, I'm doing it lengthwise, so I'm not widening it, I'm lengthening it, so you could take it through from the ecru side or the turquoise side, but just don't take it through from this side or this side. Like that. Now I'm going to take it down 2 more settings to my number 5. And I'm going to take it down 1 more setting to my number 4, which is my middle setting. There we go. So I've got quite a long sheet now. So I just like to stretch it in some areas to even it out so that we have the same width, or basically the same width along the sheet. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll from the ecru up to the turquoise. So I'm just going to trim this edge off. It doesn't have to be straight because this is Mokume Gane. This isn't actually going to be a jelly roll when we're finished with it. And I don't really like wasting clay. Even though there are lots of techniques for using up waste clay, I prefer to just not have waste clay in the beginning. Okay. So I'm just rolling that up. And also, if you haven't seen my jelly roll video, please do have a look at that. I'll include that in the links below, because I include a few tips on there on how to do a jelly roll. So I'm just smoothing over the edges over here, and then I'm going to roll that to get rid of this dent at the bottom where the sheet joined, like that. Okay, and then I want to just bring it down a bit. Well, I don't want it to be so long, I want it to be thicker. So I'm just going to gently, well not gently, I'm putting a lot of pressure on it, but I'm being careful. I'm going to put pressure on each end, and that will make it thicker and shorter. Now just roll it again to make sure that I've got a nice even shape. And then I'm just going to trim each end to show you what it looks like. So it's quite a cool look. Now of course you could just leave it like this and use this as a cane, as it is already quite an interesting look. But I want to take it a step further, and I'm going to use Mokume Gane. So what you'll do is, it doesn't really matter which side you choose, I'm just going to start flattening it. Now I use my finger to do this, and when you're doing this you want to flip it each time and go from both sides. And you almost want to do it in a reducing sort of action, because you don't want some sides being wider than other sides, you want it to be even. So I'll just do that to reduce it. So I just like to pinch and keep a watch on what I'm doing. I have trouble explaining things sometimes, so I hope that you can understand what I mean. I don't want ends bowing like this. I want that to be as long as this end. want it to be all equal. And then once I've basically flattened it out as much as I can, I just take my roller and I flatten from one side, and then I flip and flatten from the other side, and this prevents distortion. If you only flatten from one side, you'll find that the edges will bow over, and you'll be able to see it bowed over just a little bit over there. So you want to try and roll from both sides. So I'm just flattening this out, and now you can see that this black is becoming quite thin because you can see the blue through it. That's perfectly fine. That's actually what I want. I want the black to just be an accent in this piece. So now what I'll do is I'll take it over to my pasta machine and run it through on my thickest setting, which is the number 7, and you can run it through any way you want, but I'm going to be running it through from this end to this end, like that. See? Okay, so that's basically all we need. Now you can do all sorts of things with this. You can maybe put a stamp in it. I'm not sure how that would look. I haven't actually done that before, but if you do try it, I'd love to see some pictures. But I've already planned what I want to do with this one. So I've got some circle cutters over here. Now I've got these off of 5 Mountain Gems. Most of the stuff that I show in my videos, most of the tools I get from 5 Mountain Gems. The supplies I get from all over the place. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and make some random rounds around here, and you'll see what it'll look like in the end. And then if I can fit, I'm going to try and put this in the middle so it looks almost like ripples. Now this is just something that I want to do. You can do any sort of pattern you want. You can, it's Mokume Gane, you can do whatever you want with it. So this is something that I haven't shown on video yet before, so I just decided I'd do this one today. Now I'll go down to the next setting. Whoops. If it lifts up like that, just press it back in. Sometimes it does that. Okay, so I'm going as fast as I can. And of course you don't need to be precise with this. As you can see, my circles aren't all perfect. They're perfectly in the middle of each circle. I don't really want it to be like that. I want it to be off center, because I think it just gives it more of a fun look. And sometimes I'll do some overlaps if I have any areas that I've missed. But it's also good to have some blank space, so I don't want to fill it in too much. Oops, see, that one came out. I'll just pop that one back in. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to carry on decorating this because it's going to take a little while and I don't want to bore you guys. So I'll just carry on using my going down from thin to thin, and I'll come back when I've got that done. See you there. Okay, so I've finished indenting the pattern that I want. Now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to use my blade to very carefully start moving the clay and pushing all these pieces back together, because these pieces are all separate. So if we pick this up now or try to shave it now, we could end up with some problems. So I'm just going to use the blade to very gently and very slowly start to move the clay and push all the pieces together. And once they're together enough, I can pick it up and start using my fingers to do it. But I find using the blade in the beginning is the best thing to do. So I'm just going to pick it up, and then I can start to use my fingers. And I'll turn it upside down sometimes and just use the clay to push it together. Polymer clay is a very flexible medium, so if you coax it, it will do what you want it to do. You've just got to understand what it wants. See? sometimes it will come apart like that, and you don't want that to happen while you're doing your Mokume Gane. So this is what we're trying to prevent. So while you're doing this, you've got to be careful. And I wasn't careful enough there. I got a little bit too carried away. Just use my fingers to do it every now and then. So I'm going to carry on doing this, and I'll come back when I've got it all condensed and fixed together. So I'll see you there. Okay, so I've reduced it down into a block. And so now it's properly compacted together, and so you could slice it like this if you wanted to, but I want to bring it back down again just a bit. But basically, once you've got it into a block like that, it will be properly condensed together, and it will be one solid piece of clay again. So you can just bring it down very quickly using your roller. See, it's very quick to do that because I want to just have a sheet again. And come to think of it, it makes a really interesting pattern if you look at it. So this is the back end where the cutter's edge came through, and this is the part where I actually stamped in the cutters. It almost forms a bit of a mica shift without any mica class. Might play around with this and see if I can get something out of it. But anyway, there you go, I've quickly reduced it. Now it's because I rolled it on tile for a little while, it's properly stuck, and so I can proceed to cut off some slices. So I'm going to go ahead and get my firm tissue blade. You can use a flexible one, doesn't really matter which one you want, but I'm going to be using a firm one today. And I'm just going to start slicing. So there's one piece. Now of course the deeper you go, the more into the Skinner blend you're going to go, because this was a jelly roll. So you can get some really pretty and interesting patterns out of this. So I like to keep these shavings for other projects. There we go, I went a bit deeper there, so you can see that the ecru came out in that one. And the deeper you go, the more colourful it will get, I find. I find that the top area can appear a bit muddy. So there we are. Now the thing is, because it was a Skinner blend, the yellow is only going to appear in the middle. It's going to be blue over here and green over here, no matter how deep you go. So I'm just shaving it up to clean it up. But that's basically the technique. It's quite interesting and can be really fun to make, and you could play around with it and see what you get. I mean, maybe if you made a bigger jelly roll, yeah, I'll show you. So here you can see that it's twisted a lot. So maybe if you made it a bit thicker and so that it didn't twirl so much, you'd get a completely different effect. And it's just a really fun technique that I thought you guys would find interesting, and I hope to see some pictures of what you've made if you do make some, because I always love seeing that. And that's basically all there is to it, really. So I hope that this video was helpful to you, and if it was, please do have a look at the links below, as there'll be more links to tutorials like this one, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye for now.